What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Michael Borky. Thank you for checking me out tonight. The new clock rule in college football is simply bad for the sport. I'll tell you why after you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell as well so you know when I go live or when I post a video. So what is this new clock rule in college football? In case you missed it, late last week, they pushed through something that we kind of knew was coming already, where in college football, the clock will no longer stop after a first down, with the exception of the final 2 minutes of each half. So inside of 2 minutes, at the end of the first half and at the end of the second half, the clock will stop temporarily after a first down to give the chain gang a chance to move the chains and reset the ball. So why would they do that? And you might be thinking, that doesn't seem like a whole lot. It's kind of an unassuming change. Why do you think it's so bad for college football? It will have some benefits, and here's kind of what those are. There's a goal across sports, really, to shorten the length of games. Things are trending in that direction. Our attention spans are getting shorter, and you're seeing a growth in popularity in sports that are a little bit shorter. It's more appealing for the casual sports fan to have a shorter game to watch, start to finish. For you diehards out there, if you're an Ole Miss fan or you're a Mississippi State fan or Alabama or LSU, you'd watch every second of your team playing, regardless of how long it takes, because you love your team and you wouldn't miss it. But for the casual sports fan, 4.5-hour college football games are simply too long. 4.5-hour Major League Baseball games are simply too long. You've seen it, and it's been successful at the baseball level with new rules themselves, shortening games, and they have gotten really good return on the shortening of games. Also in football, it's a little bit safer, so that does help as well. The fewer plays that exist, the fewer chances there are for people to get hurt. So there is a noble reason for why they want to short games. It's better for marketing. It's better for viewership. It's better for the casual fan. It's also better for the players. They aren't going to fewer plays leads to fewer injuries. NFL games are shorter. There are more plays in a college football game than an NFL game. And possessions in NFL games, because of that, mean a little bit more because there is just simply fewer of them because of their clock rules. Their games on average are shorter. And the possessions are fewer. The plays are fewer. Therefore, there's a premium placed on every time you touch the football. So that could add a little bit of intrigue as well in the college game with fewer possessions. Not many fewer, but with fewer possessions on average. Each one matters a little bit more. It is a noble cause with poor application. If you want to shorten college football games and you don't start here, you are doing it wrong. First of all, the halftime in college football is 8 minutes longer than that of the NFL. Shorten halftime. That is a very simple solution that you can knock 8 minutes off of the game. And I know what you're thinking, or at least some of you. Well, what about the bands? Part of what makes college football great is having the halftime show where the band gets to play. And for that, I agree. I do agree. Bands add to the atmosphere. They are what separates college football from the aforementioned NFL. Bands are great. They add to the environment. It's a big part of the game day experience. During the game, though, the halftime show, frankly, is not something that you go to games to see. Now, the band adds to the atmosphere of the game, but you don't exactly need a 20-minute halftime for the band to perform to make or break your game day experience in college football. And yes, you can shorten halftime and still have a band performance. It just has to be a little bit more efficient. I went to the Saints-Seahawks game this past fall. They had a full-on concert on the field during the game, literally during the game, during halftime. They brought a stage out, had a concert. I think it was the Sugar Hill Gang, and got the stage off and played the second half all within 12 minutes. In that 12-minute window, they got a stage on the field, had a performance, got the stage off the field, and boom, played a football game. You don't need 20-minute halftimes in college football. They should start there. Shrink the halftime length. So instead of reducing possessions and reducing plays and not stopping the clock after a first down, take 8 minutes off of your game by reducing halftime. Also, officiating is entirely inefficient. For example, in NFL games, if a player false starts, the refs make the call so much faster than they do in college. They can speed up the process of officiating in college football. Give them all headsets. Let them communicate that way instead of having to come together and have a little huddle and do all that. Watch an NFL game and then watch a college game. You see the efficiency of the calls and spotting the ball and things like that in the NFL game. It's so much faster and more crisp for the NFL as opposed to college. The officiating can be more efficient. Also, same thing with reviews. If you've got a targeting call, here's what happens in college all the time. You've got a hit that could possibly be targeting. They want to review that targeting call. Instead of firing off a commercial break right there, because you have to have a certain amount, they have inventory, they sell it to advertisers. Instead of, while the refs are looking into that little box and trying to figure out and talking to the people upstairs or in the league office, depending on who you're talking about, instead of doing all that while we are watching, fire off a commercial break, get that part of your inventory out of the game while the review is going on. Instead, there's so much downtime in a broadcast. It's wasted time that you could be instead filling your commercial allotment and inventory by being more efficient. We just watch guys with headsets on determine whether or not something is targeting. So officiating, reviews, and things like that can be a heck of a lot more efficient in the college game than it currently is. And then, it would be great if they would reduce the commercial inventory. My gosh, when you're watching an SEC on CBS game, the amount of times that you see touchdown, extra point, commercial break, kickoff, commercial break is criminal, and it happens all the time. That's 10 minutes that is just completely wasted on a play that is arbitrary anyway. I mean, kickoffs just go through the end zone more often than not. What a waste of time it all is. But there's the rub, isn't it? They're not going to reduce the commercial inventory. They're not going to sell the games for any less. Although, if you considered reducing the amount of avails that you had, you could increase prices because the higher demand and maybe come up with the same amount of money. But either way, they're not going to reduce the commercial inventory. So what they've decided to do instead is give us less of the one thing that we are watching college football for, which is actual football. There are going to be fewer plays. There are going to be fewer possessions, but the downtime, the wasted time, hasn't changed at all. And having been to a lot of college football games lately, there is a lot of downtime and dead time in the stadiums when you've got 3-minute commercial breaks after just a couple of plays and both teams are just kind of standing on the field waiting for those to end. That amount of time is not being reduced. It's just the number of plays that we're going to see. So that downtime is going to feel even longer because there's fewer of what we actually want to see. But they're not addressing it in that way. They're not addressing halftime length or being more efficient or anything like that. The only thing they're doing is taking away the thing we actually want to see and keeping everything else the exact same. That is a bad deal. That is bad for college football. That is bad for the fans in the stands and the players on the field. They're doing all of us a disservice by knocking off plays while not knocking off anything else. So it's one small change. You'll probably barely notice that small change, but it's still just another one that you can add to the list of changes that are happening in college football that are not good, or at least not helpful for the overall health of the sport. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and checking my channel out. Please like the video, and I'll see you on the next one.